at the Bitcoin conference, Jack Dorsey spoke. I believe he said Bitcoin changes everything. I think you made a video for Jack trying to explain different ideas to him. I guess describing the difference between proof of work and proof of stake, as we've talked about.
Right.
What do you hope Jack Dorsey comes to understand about the difference between proof of work and proof of stake?
Well, I hope he understands it's just a resource. That's the entire point of the video I was trying to make is like, dude, you're like in this cult where you think the only way to be secure is proof of work, and somehow proof of stake is less secure than proof of work. I don't even know how you put those inequalities there because you're talking about apples and oranges. You're making different trade-offs, and there's different assumptions about the nature of the people involved, but the mechanics are the same. And so it's really more of a question of what type of system do you prefer? Do you want mercenaries guarding Rome, or do you want Roman citizens guarding Rome? Okay, and as the Romans learn, it's better to have citizens usually doing that. Okay, and that's the only point I was trying to make to Dorsey. And I don't think he watched it or particularly cared, but it was more of a video for everyone, and to start that dialogue of realizing that the real game is proof of stake better than proof of work. It's how do we go from 1 to n, and what should n be?
Yeah.
You just mentioned that semantical addressable web, going back to IPFS and these other concepts. Well, how do you pay for the enormous burden of storing that much data? You can create a consensus protocol for it. There actually is one. It's called Permacoin. Came out in 2014, 15. Andrew Miller wrote it, and a few other authors. I think John Katz may have been an author as well. But basically, it was just a throwaway proof of work style algorithm that only works if you have large amounts of data. Okay, so it's like your miners are like a hard drive, effectively.
Proof of storage, I think you call it.
Yeah,
like
this type of stuff. And there's been since then many iterations, evolutions of that type of protocol. Okay, so what if you throw that into your resource bag? Now you have a capacity in your system for storing huge amounts of information that's incentivized by the way the system works. And you can balance that with a proof of stake system. And you can balance that with let's say you have proof of useful computation. We may have a paper on that, who knows, coming soon. And what if you have a proof of useful computation where maybe you can do walkstat or something, who knows? With something like that, okay, well, now you have 3 resources inside your system, and those 3 things keep your system secure, they keep each other balanced, and they just so happen to create the world's largest supercomputer that's programmable, and it just so happens to create the world's largest database that's programmable, in addition to having a shareholder-style model for ownership inside of it to kind of balance these things out so people care about the appreciation of value inside the system. So that was my point to Jack is, you're a business guy, why are you betting all your eggs in one crazy model that's a cult? Step away and realize that does something. It's a tool, but saws aren't the only tool in the toolbox. There's hammers and screwdrivers and other things. Go to N resources and let's have a real conversation about what would a world computer or a world infrastructure that's useful for your business domain, in his case, Twitter, require, and what type of resources would you need for such a thing?
Well, in this case, Square, more importantly. Currently, if you look at Square and Cash App, they support Bitcoin. He is kind of all in on the proof of work idea. Not all in, but currently kind of that's the one supported
I guess there's
idea.
Just a tip in proof of work.
I love you so much, Charles. Thank you. Appreciate this. But I'm not going to run with that, even though I'm tempted to. But looking forward, do you hope Cardano becomes part of Cash App?
I mean, he's a business guy, or at least I'd hope he is. And it's not about what I want or what he wants. It's about what markets want. When you run a publicly traded company, you have a fiduciary obligation to your shareholders to maximize the utility, sustainability, and value of your company. And so if he's running a company that makes money off of these things, it makes absolutely no sense to be a maximalist. You want transaction volume. That's how you make your damn money. Coinbase was the same way. They were very maximalist in the beginning. Very quickly, they started realizing, hey, we're losing a lot of money. If we want to IPO, we kind of need to be a bit more diverse. Eric Voorhees was also a maximalist way back today. Now look at Eric. He's got Shapeshift and all these other pieces of infrastructure. He's a lot more friendly with us alties. So, Jack will make that decision. His people will make that decision, I think, based on market dynamics, transaction volume, and value to the user. And if the concern is actually legitimately security, then the only question I'd ask their team is, can you please provide me a definition of one? Doing POW is more secure than proof of stake as a tweet is not really a proof. Okay, you need to actually come out and sit down and say, what is your security model? What do you care about? What do you value? What's the problems you're concerned about a proof of stake? And they never really get there. And that's why I call this maximum like a religion, because it's just like saying, well, the angels descended from the heavens. And it's like, well, how do you know? Well, because the Bible said so, or this doctrine said so. It's like, well, that's your evidence? Somebody wrote something down. Can you please give me a little bit more? They say, no, you're challenging the word of God. In this case, you're challenging the word of Satoshi. And all I ask for is just what is the burden of proof? We wrote the papers. We have security models. We went through the peer review process. God, that was not easy. We wrote formal specifications. In some cases, we formalized those specifications with Isabel, for God's sakes, which is not easy to do. And then we implemented it. And it's running in production with 1 million users at a $50 billion market cap. I mean, at what point do you start saying, well, maybe there's something there? And they say, no, there's nothing there, and it's not secure, it can't be secure. And you say, okay, then why do you believe what you believe? And they never come back to me with an answer, ever.
Well, I believe God didn't go through a peer review process when he wrote the 10 Commandments. So sometimes it works out, sometimes not.